Fluke des Ferro at Belantis is one of the most bizarre water rides in the world. This Hafima-built attraction combines elements of dark rides, log flumes, water slides, and river rapids rides into one complete package, and the results are confusing, thrilling, and highly entertaining. This ride is the main reason I wanted to visit Belantis, and it did not disappoint. So in this video, I will be reviewing the unique Fluke des Ferro. As the name suggests, Fluke des Ferro is Egyptian themed. The ride's show building is this massive 102-foot or 31-meter tall pyramid, and the ride's main drop emerges from the top of the pyramid and runs down the side of the wall. The way this drop runs perfectly down the side of the structure is one of the best visuals of any amusement ride. It also creates an air of mystery. When you see a show building this large, you have to think it was purposefully designed to hide something. So I couldn't help but ask myself, what's in the pyramid? Fluke des Ferro translates to Curse of the Pharaoh, and the theme is evident from the start. I believe guests are supposed to be treasure hunters, and the queue line serves as a warning to turn back. The first half of the queue line routes you through the lower level of the pyramid. The queue line feels like a haunted labyrinth. It consists of a series of windy and convoluted hallways that are dimly lit, and you hear this creepy droning music in the background. As you progress further through the queue line, you start seeing more and more detailed hieroglyphics on the walls. These cryptic paintings make it clear there will be repercussions for entering the pyramid. The second half of the queue line takes place in this outdoor, minimally shaded courtyard. You can see the nice looking ship themed station up ahead, but I do really wish the setup of the queue line was flipped. I'd much rather wait inside the pyramid out of the sun where I can spend more time appreciating all the theming and details. You can obviously take your time through the indoor queue line, but people will pass you. And the setup was not just due to COVID, as it matched what had been done in prior years. Fortunately, on the afternoon I visited, Fluke des Ferro had just a 15 to 20 minute wait. Due to the large number of boats and continuously moving load platform, this ride had one of the highest capacities in the park. The line moved far faster than the park's roller coasters. Each boat seats up to 8 riders across 4 rows. I now think it's the perfect time to describe the ride system in detail, because it really is the ride's secret sauce. Hafima is known for making some of the most extreme river rapids rides out there. If you've been on either River Quest at Phantasialand or Splash UFO at Yomiuri Land, you know what I'm talking about. Their rapids rides feel completely out of control with their frighteningly steep drops and wild whirlpool elements. For Fluke des Ferro, Hafima decided to use these elements on a flume ride. They would be interesting with your standard, rigid log vehicles, but Hafima went one step further. They replaced the logs with dinghy boats. Giant, inflatable dinghy boats. These boats completely changed the ride dynamics. All of the elements behave differently, and even slow turns become interesting. These boats flex with each wave, turn, and drop. And the boat doesn't flex as one cohesive unit. Each row is independent of each other, and they articulate at different times. These boats do a better job mimicking the experience of whitewater rafting than your traditional rapids ride. You feel more vulnerable in these inflatable boats because they exaggerate all of the ride's motions. But Hafima didn't go completely nuts. There are restraints, just seatbelts, and a lap bar ahead of you to hold on to. For the best experience, I recommend riding in the back. Not only do you get the weird visual of everyone bobbing up and down ahead of you, but the drop packs the biggest punch back there. Fluke des Ferro begins with a short outdoor segment. Beyond the Cobra coaster next door, there really isn't too much to look at here. The journey takes place next to dirt and overgrown grass, but the ride vehicles make this otherwise mundane section enjoyable. It's apparent from the start this will be no ordinary flume as you rock side to side and bounce up and down. The unstable motion feels comical. And then as you enter the pyramid, you hit a series of rapids. They're all rather small, but they will send refreshing splashes into the boat, particularly if you're sitting up front. You then enter the pyramid, and what's inside Unfortunately, not a whole lot. The indoor section was much shorter than I anticipated. You actually spend more time on this attraction outdoors than you do indoors, which was surprising given the sheer size of the pyramid. And there weren't many visuals in there either. The indoor section starts with this narrow hallway lined with lanterns. There's no music or figures to look at. It just feels sort of empty. You then hear some narration, which was coming from the ride's lone animatronic, an archaeologist hammering into the wall. You then proceed further into the pyramid down another empty hallway, but the ride system does save the day, adding some intrigue. You head up this small conveyor belt lift hill and pause. A few seconds later, your conveyor belt starts moving sideways as you're pushed into the elevator shaft. You then slowly climb up to the ride's highest point. The elevator has no doors or windows. All you can see is the pharaoh's painted face in front of you. Once at the top, another horizontal conveyor belt moves you out of the elevator shaft. You then move towards the drop. While this happens, you hear the intimidating pharaoh's voice and laughter, as he believes you're about to fall to your doom. And to be honest, it sure feels like you'll meet your end on this drop. It feels completely out of control. For one, it's pretty tall and steep for a water ride. If you're in the back, you will even get a quick pop of airtime. But that isn't even the scary part. This drop behaves more like a water slide than a log flume. Remember, your vehicle's a dinghy boat, so it has no upstop or running wheels. It's just floating freely on the water. So as you head down the drop, you're basically hydroplaning. And if you've ever done that in a car, you know how freaky that feeling is. You don't build up speed as quickly as you do on a conventional flume going down this drop. Instead, you start to feel the raft subtly start to skid side to side. All these elements combine to make for one of the most memorable drops out there. The splashdown is equally as strange. When you depart the station, the operator instructs you to hold onto the bar in front of you during the splashdown. And I can see why. The stop is very abrupt. I would have expected the dinghy boat to skim across the water, but nope, it just slams into the water, sort of bounces up and down, and then sends a modest wave into the boat. Those up front again will get the wettest, but the ride isn't a real soaker in any seat. Most flumes end after their large drop, but Fluke des Pharaohs has one more trick up its sleeve. The drop dumps you into a famous Hafima whirlpool. This element spirals inwards, slowly increasing in speed. And then you reach this curving drop that leads into a tunnel. The drop isn't very fast, but it's weird. Would it seem weird getting laterals on a tube slide? I think so, but that's basically what happens on Fluke des Pharaohs. This drop pushes both the raft and riders outwards, which generates some weak but freaky laterals given the ride system. The resultant drop creates no splash, but those on the left may get wet on the drop if the raft is pushed far enough into the waterfall that runs down the wall. You then emerge from the tunnel and slowly float towards a lift hill leading back into the station. But sit back and relax because you may be here for a while. Due to the large backup of rafts ahead of you, it took an extra 4 minutes to actually get off the ride. On my first ride, I thought the ride may have just stacked due to a guest issue, but nope, this happened on every single cycle all day long. So what would I rate Fluke des Pharaohs? I would give this unique water ride a 9 out of 10. Fluke des Pharaohs does a lot of cool things. It starts with that ride system. It's unlike any other I've seen, and it takes the best elements of water slides, river rapids rides, and log flumes, blending them all together. The marriage of these ride systems creates some weird dynamics that added a lot of thrills. I never quite knew how Fluke des Pharaohs would behave, but the end result was great in many cases, with the main drop being the obvious highlight. Then you have the theming, and this is where I think the ride slightly missed the mark. I love the build-up in the queue line, but I wish there was a little more to see in the pyramid during the ride section. It didn't need to have Splash Mountain levels of animatronics, but even simple hieroglyphics like we saw in the queue line would have really helped the start of the indoor section, and I also wish it lasted longer. Fortunately, the dinghy boat's motion and the ride's bizarre lift mechanism helped mask these issues, but this ride was so close to being one of the best water rides in the world if the theming was a little stronger. So those are my thoughts on Fluke des Ferro, the unique Hafima flume ride at Belantis. Have you been on this attraction? What are your thoughts about this ride? Also, if you've seen this ride system elsewhere, definitely let me know in the comments because I've never seen it elsewhere in my travels. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like and you considered subscribing because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canobie Coaster. Thanks for watching.